So this is coming from Trump's people in the Department of Labor. It says, trust the plan, trust Trump, trust the plan. And like, how do you read this stuff? Like, look at their design language. It's like they purposely want to be this sci-fi dystopian, people. That's the colors that they're using. That's the font. And what is the plan? Okay, I'll hear it out. This is the plan today, guys. They want to bribe people in Greenland. Exclusive. Trump administration mulls payments to sway Greenlanders to join the USA. And basically, we're talking about upwards to $100,000 per person. They're talking about sending to Greenland. For real, it's so stupid. The U.S. officials have discussed sending lump sum payments to Greenlanders as part of a bid to convince them to secede from Denmark and potentially join the United States, according to 4 sources familiar with the matter. Although the logistics of the payment are unclear, of course they are. But this is how whacked out these people are. And I've kind of learned a rule of thumb. If it sounds like really, really dumb and disconnected from reality, it probably is what the Trump people are planning. That's how crazy this stuff is. I want to talk about more here. Let's talk jobs. This is coming from Heather Long. She's a chief economist over at Navy Federal. And basically she's saying like, job growth with Trump in 2025, maybe we're looking at 700,000. It's like horrible, right? Basically, I'll read it. Important point. 2025 is likely to be the worst year for job growth outside of a recession since 2003, when hiring was anemic after the dot-com bust. And that's sort of what we're looking at. Basically, we're in a bubble right now, the AI bubble. Trump says you're all going to get jobs and everything's going to be great as we roll out AI to replace all of you. So how's that going to turn out? And effectively, things don't look good. I'll just be frank with you guys. So I'm not sure about the trust the plan thing. This is also, Trump did a big interview with the New York Times. More of this interview is coming out. I'll read a bit. It says, asked if there are any limits of his power, Trump tells the New York Times, quote, yeah, there is one thing, my own morality, my own mind. It's the only thing that can stop me. I don't need international law. Yeah, I'll just say this, like my own mind, my own reality. At this point, I think he's completely lost any morality, if he ever had any, and he's definitely lost his mind. So that's Trump there. This is the White House. They're proudly saying we're leaving all of these international organizations, 66. And I told you guys about this before. It's about any number of things that they want to do. But basically, hey, let's go it alone, USA. Let's screw the environment, screw regular people, and let's make sure we give as much money as we possibly can to people like Elon Musk. That's their plan. On top of that, this is some regular people pushing back. So listen to this. This is in Minnesota.
My dad fought in World War II, in Battle of Bulge. He'd be rolling in his grave to see what's happened to America now. And America needs to hold up a mirror to see what we've become. This is just so un-American to see Americans assaulting Americans like this. And these people here is what's America, protesting the brutality of what's happening in their cities and streets. And we'd never seen border agents before. We took the light rail down from downtown. We lived downtown. And we were trying to protest what happened yesterday, that bloody shooting, but then to see what border agents are like. And this is our first exposure to border agents. Pushed down the snowdrift. We weren't part of anything, aggressively assaulted, and like, okay, that's what this is. That's what Border Patrol are. And they want fear. They want to project that intimidation. And that's frightening for all of America.
And I just want you to see this because I want you to see that you are not alone. I want you to see that many different people are standing up and calling out the BS that the Trump people are doing. Trump is even getting pushback in the Senate. This just came out today. It says U.S. Senate votes to block Trump for more military action in Venezuela. 5 Republicans join Democrats in advancing legislation that halts further strikes without congressional approval. Trump then is, doing what Trump always does. He tweets. That's basically what it is. It's the Twitter toddler, right? They try to say, trust the plan. And he says, Republicans should be ashamed of the senators that just voted with Democrats and attempting to take away our powers to fight and defend the United States of America. And he lists them: Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Rand Paul, Josh Hawley, and Todd Young should never be elected to office again. Okay, great. And he's attacking Republicans here on this one. And maybe Trump really wants the Democrats to take over the Senate. I mean, you can see it right here. And I also want to show you guys this. This is Senator Elizabeth Warren. She just said she came out of a briefing regarding Venezuela. And I remember the Senate's like, yo, you can't attack without Congress. Senator Warren says, I just left the Venezuela briefing. It's worse than you thought. Oil company executives seem to know more about Trump's secret plan to, quote, run Venezuela than the American people. We need public Senate hearings now. And I always tell you guys, right, transparency is very, very important to things. Facts matter, right? The law matters. Never lose sight of that. And also, the Trump people expose themselves on a daily basis. This is Peter Navarro. He's one of the Trumpers. And he's basically going to try to say, guys, those left-wing people are all crazy. And what we got to do is we got to get that oil. Let's get that oil. For real. And this is true story. While he's doing this video telling you how you got to like get the oil and it's going to go, from Venezuela to your gas tank and how awesome, fracking is and all this crazy crap, right? They're playing the Money, Money song from The Apprentice. You remember that song? Money, 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 money. For real. That's the actual song they're playing and they're showing you images of money. Like, oh, it's so hard to like talk about stuff because this is so stupid. They don't hide who they are. These are greedy individuals. They're after the oil and they try to like flash money around. And it really shows like that's how Trump's world is. It's a mafia boss, right? And it's like, okay, I'll pay you to keep quiet. I'll pay you to do that, right? Just when in doubt, try to throw money. But you know what? We can see what you're doing. Now look at this. This is someone calling out Noam regarding the recent shooting, how basically she won't show her face. Listen to this.
This is the person who within minutes of the shooting, went on TV and called it domestic terrorism. What is she, hiding her face like her ICE agents now? She can't show her face either? By the way, is this what the $800 billion went to? Every day we see her after there's some new tragedy in Homeland, she's wearing a different outfit with a different hat. I mean, come on, guys, she looks ridiculous. She's not just an embarrassment to the country. She's an embarrassment to you and the president. Okay, she deserves to be removed from her job by the president, and if not impeached, not just for her complete failures in Homeland, but her destruction of FEMA. She's not even running the department. You guys know this.
And then we've gotten reports they want to defund FEMA. Like basically the whole Trump regime here is defund any sort of regulations, defund anything that would help actual people. And you know where they want to put all their money into? They want that 50% budget increase to the military. Trump wants his Golden Dome, his Golden Fleet. I know when I say this stuff, it sounds stupid, but that's actually what they're talking about. And he's like, I'm going to get my dream military. Like it's so whacked out. And that's why I always show you guys this kind of crap, like trust the plan. Every time I see this, it's so stupid. And we just need sane people to stand up and at least, give credit to people in the Senate voting against him, right? At least 5 senators on the Republican side are like, you know what? This does whacked out. I'm voting against attacking Venezuela more. And then you got stuff like this. Now, I can't confirm any of this kind of stuff, but I just want to give you a flavor of how crazy this stuff is. So this is from Nick. Nick says, the woman with the laptop in this photo, and he's referring to New York Times article that just came out, like the interview of Trump, is Trump's executive assistant, Natalie Harp. So that part I think is true, okay? Perhaps you remember her as the woman Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan, heavily implied as Trump's current mistress in the pair. So that part I don't know. So that part I don't know. I don't want to confirm that one, but I will say this. The things that Trump does, so one, he wants to throw money around, bribe Greenlanders like $100,000 each. Then there's a bunch of basically worm tongues and greedy individuals that try to circle Trump's orbit because they know he's easily manipulated. So whether or not it's a full-blown affair, who knows? But I'll say this, I looked her up. It's pretty easy to find this stuff. Someone wrote an article about her. Trump's, quote, human printer is somehow weirder than you thought. Human printer, I've heard that one before. And you can actually even find her Wikipedia page. All this stuff is public. It's easy to find. But basically, she's a right-winger person, goes to, Point Loma Nazarene University, then Liberty University. These are, kind of right-wing kind of places. You guys know this stuff. Then goes on Fox News, and she's just all interested in, advancing her career in those kind of circles if you want to play that game, the Fox News, the OWN network, or whatever. And the reason why I'm pointing this out because you want to understand, like, why is this sort of world the way that it is right now? At the moment, Trump's just a greedy individual, and he attracts other greedy individuals, and that's sort of why the government goes in the way that it does. But it's completely unsustainable, because just imagine you fill your team with everyone who's like me, 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 me. That kind of team doesn't win. Anyone who's ever been on a team when everyone's all about, the individual me, 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 it's unsustainable. It's a house of cards.
So as I arrived at church yesterday, I noticed that there was something going on just a block and a half from the church. And so I grabbed my whistles because we're used to doing that. And I went down to see what was going on. And I realized it was an ICE raid. And there were many, many protesters. So I joined the protesting. And before I knew it, I saw ICE agents circling a young woman who appeared to be Hispanic. And so I approached her, and we were at that point chanting, "We are not afraid. We are not afraid. Go out of our state. We are not afraid." And I said to this ICE agent, "Take me. Stop harassing her. Take me." The agent came, got in my face, pointed a gun at me, and said, "Are you afraid now?" To which I said, "I am not afraid." The next thing I knew, they were putting handcuffs on me, and they put me in the back of an SUV. They came back 3 times, and they asked me if I was afraid yet. To which I replied, "Hell no, I'm not afraid of you, and I'm never going to be afraid of you." The 3rd time when they came back, they asked for my identification. They asked for my cell phone. I asked them if I was under arrest. They didn't answer. And then they said to me, "Well, you're white. You won't be any fun anyway. You can get out of the car." I was astounded to experience and see such blatant racism and the effects that this is having on our community.
And the main thing I want you to get from this is don't be afraid. Stand up. There are more people going to be on the right side of history than them. And that's why I show you kind of who these greedy individuals are. They're ludicrous. Here's another example from the Trump people. Just listen to the way she talks. This is one of like Noam's assistants.
On June 17th, in a suburb outside of Minneapolis, this exact same officer, he was making a lawful arrest of a child pedophile, a child sex offender, when he reached his arm into the subject's vehicle, and that subject started closing the window. He drove off and dragged that officer for 50 yards. That officer, clung on to his life. He had 33 stitches and abrasions all over his body, Martha. So you can see when you're making these kind of split-second decisions, when you have the individual in question who's since deceased, that happened just yesterday, this individual, she was stalking agents all day long, impeding our law enforcement, and then when she's coming after the officer with the vehicle, you can see why he would be in fear of his life and of the law enforcement officers around him's lives.
All right. So I just want you to give a sense of who these people are. And remember, we looked at, say, Trump's assistant person who may not be having an affair and trying to figure out ways to advance her career. Trisha McLaughlin's the same kind of person. For them, they're willing to lie, cheat, steal, just so they can just be on camera and they can tell everyone, "Oh, hey, everyone, I'm on camera." And they show the Instagram, "Hey, everyone, I'm in a private jet. Wow, fantastic," right? They're greedy individuals, and you can see the way she talks. It's really unsure. Plus, this is Fox News' choice. It's not by mistake. The same way they do it with Trump. Whenever they roll these people out on camera, they know they're so bad, they play background noise in the music to try to distract you. That's why Trump's always speaking in like loud places in front of the plane. Like his advisors, they know it's bad. These people are professionals. Like they run a TV show. Basically, this whole thing is a TV show for Trump. And so, like, if you have a terrible actor as a director, you basically figure out ways to cover up the bad acting. So in this situation with McLaughlin, while she's talking, they're playing sirens and crap. You guys see how ridiculous this stuff is? I know this game that they're up to, and you'll start to recognize it the more that you see it. On top of that, there is pushback, and look at another tactic that they use over at Fox News. You'll start to recognize it. See if you can just identify the tactic they're using now.
But this ICE officer, who, by the way, has been in a situation I've been in. I've been standing on the street, armed, trying to interdict vehicles, all right? If an 18-year-old Marine did what that officer did, like shot a woman as she was driving away, out of the way, he would be court-martialed.
Yeah, I hear your opinion.
We should expect that standard for our federal officers.
We're 2 minutes over.
So their strategy is, if someone's terrible on their side, they play sirens or they play, loud noises. They get Trump speaking in front of airplanes all the time because he's awful on camera. or if they're getting beat in a conversation. Oh, whoa, we're out of time. Time to go. Whoa, cut the camera. Whoa, right? And so these kind of tactics, maybe it works on their Fox viewers because I'll just be frank, they live in some weird la-la land. They're disconnected from reality. But this thing can't go on, and this is completely unsustainable. And it's way worse than it was at the beginning of the year. And then, like, look at the way that Trump's declining both physically and mentally. And look at how their team are exposing themselves. And in, say, Kristi Noem's case, won't even show her face. So that's what's going on. I want to hear your thoughts. And I'll catch you on the next video.